Whether this is the first video you've seen of me on your feed, or you've seen my past videos, you know that this channel is all about love, about loving yourself, letting go of your past mistakes because they don't define you, letting go of the past hate, trauma, whatever you've dealt with in your life, leaving that aside because you are loved and your life matters. This channel is also about Jesus Christ, God in human form, who came down, died on that cross, and eradicated all your past mistakes so that you may live every single day. You've been put on this earth for a reason, for a divine reason, and that's to be loving to one another, cherishing one another, cherishing our time here on this earth, our limited time here on this earth, forgiving one another, and following Christ. And I mention these things because this video is about my testimony. Here's my story. I've always grown up in a Christian household. I have been baptized since I was barely even 1 year old. I don't want to say I was forced to, but it's not like I really had a choice when going to church. I've believed in God since I've been young, but I never had true faith in God or Christ. I'm going to fast forward to around kind of high school. At this time is when COVID hit 2020, and the only friends I had were friends online. I made this friend group online, and it started off good. They got me into the LGBTQ community. I was bisexual for a while. For those who don't know what bisexual means, it means attracted to both men and women. But was part of that community. I still believed in God. Did not have a full faith for him yet. In fact, I was kind of envious of this one friend of mine, this IRL friend of mine at my church. I would look at him and you could just feel the faith of God, the love of God radiating off of him. Just so much support and peace coming off of him. It would be very hard to not see him as a Christian. Fast forward to this camp trip that my church organized with the youth from our own congregation, plus some other congregations with a church under the same name. Like I said, was a very socially awkward kid, barely talked to anyone, and still had envy for this friend of mine, the faith that he had. Then we come to this camp where one of the church leaders from our own congregation has a lesson. They had a line of tape in the middle of the room, and they said, if you ever felt like you've had doubts about your faith, doubts about God, doubts that you belong, go to this side of the room. And vice versa, go to the other side. Now, being as I had those doubts, I moved to the doubting side. And what surprised me the most is that the friend who I thought had a huge faith in God, who I thought really belonged, moved to the doubting side as well. And that opened my eyes a little bit, because we don't truly know what somebody's dealing with deep down. We don't truly know the suffering that somebody's feeling in their heart. That's why we have to love one another and forgive one another and have peace with one another, because who knows? Anyways, because that opened my eyes, I paid attention a lot more during that camp trip. And I also felt really included, because not only did that experience open my eyes, but because I mentioned I was socially awkward, I would be by myself a lot during that camp trip. But I got invited to tables to eat with the cabin leader that we had at the moment. He would invite me to his table. I would talk with him. We would talk about all sorts of things. He made me feel really welcome, and I thank him for that. But the presence of God was in this camp for sure. And I know this was God's doing. And I thank God for this experience. Now, I didn't fully accept the faith of the Lord just then after that camp trip, but it was slowly building. I had been receiving these Christian videos on my feed, much like probably this one that you found. And I had never watched Christian videos at all, but I started watching these videos And I was filled with an unexplainable sense of peace and sense of longing. And I fully surrendered to God. I finally made the decision and I accepted Him as my Lord and Savior. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and I accepted the free gift of grace, mercy, and heaven that He provides. And from there, I've just been building my faith, trying to lead other people to the kingdom. I have friends now of all communities, LGBT, Christ followers like myself. I found my girlfriend who is also a Christ follower. In fact, I could mention this. She used to be part of the LGBT as well. She used to go by they, them, and used to consider herself pansexual. I gently and lovingly assured her and reminded her, hey, I know you say you believe in God, and as a person who believes in God, you have to understand that LGBTQ is a sin, and I feel it's best to leave that lifestyle if you're going to have true faith in God. And I spoke to her, and she changed on her own. And I hope with this testimony, this maybe changes some hearts too, because I love every single human being on this earth. I hope this changes your heart. I hope that this encourages you. And remember, you are deserving of love. You matter, and your past does not define you. God bless.